Buddy, let me just get my other eyes on. So nice to see everybody tonight. Now I can't see you at all, but that's another story. Welcome everybody. A couple announcements before we begin. A reminder from the Social Justice Committee that tomorrow is ADL's Walk Against Hate. Sunday. They'll be meeting at noon at the Southfield Civic Center. That's when the registration and the t-shirts and all that happens. And then at 1 o'clock, there'll be a program followed by the walk. There's free parking, and our team will meet at 1 o'clock at the west side of the registration tables. So please see Audrey, raise your hand, Audrey, chairperson of our Social Justice Committee, if you have any questions. And I want to throw out an advertisement for next week. So who remembers what next week is? That is our Shabbat dinner, and we're calling it Shabbat Shira, which means the Shabbat of song, because we're going to get together for a traditional Shabbat dinner. We have a lot of families from the Spinoza program coming. The Spinoza program has been learning, or will be learning, we didn't get to meet last week, about Shabbat. So the kids and a lot of the parents will be here, and we will be eating a wonderful dinner, free, and then we're gonna have a big song session, just like back when you were in Jewish summer camp, or I don't know, maybe Chabad without those terrible words. So please join us, but we do need to know if you're coming no later than Wednesday. So let the office know, and we're hoping to have a great turnout. Questions? It's Shabbat, yes. That's when we're holding it. Generally, Shabbat dinners are held on Friday nights among the Jews. 6 o'clock. But if you would like to propose a different night for Shabbat, I can bring it to the Jews, and we can talk about it, because you know how civil we are about such things. We always come to an agreement. All right, so those are our announcements for tonight. As you can hear, I'm a little bit lacking in fullness of throat, so I'm going to sit and let you guys sing with Joseph. But we do also have many readers participating tonight, including Max Lark, Bruce Hillenberg, who will be presenting this wonderful program he's put together for us shortly, Sheila Glass, Susie Friedman, Suzanne Paul, Lonnie Fleischer, Charlie Paul, and Sandy Altman. And I actually did not invite anyone specific to light candles, but I have my eye on someone. That would be you. It's you guys. It's you. It's the two of you. But don't get up just yet. There's a reading. And I should have mentioned that we have an incredible Oneg Shabbat tonight. I usually announce this at the end, but I want you guys your mouths to be watering over it already. So this Oneg Shabbat is in honor of Helen and Saul Foreman, which so many things here should be in honor of Helen and Saul Foreman. If you'd like to light candles, I asked them a lot, so I didn't want to burden them, but maybe you'll come up too to light the candles. Where is Saul? Oh, there's Saul, okay. Oh, because Max is between them. But hold off, I didn't do the reading yet. It's in honor of Helen and Saul Foreman, who just moved to a new home. So this is a kind of Chanukah Habayit, a dedication of their new home, but over here, by their dear friends, Dorit and Yossi Ben-Gal, Barbara and Marty Bernstein, Suzanne and Charlie Paul, Edie and Glenn Mello, and Jessica and Blair Mello. So it's so nice of you guys to share this simcha with us, and we're really excited about this new phase in your life. And I've been over there to visit you. I haven't seen the place yet, but I'm going to be there next week, so maybe I'll get a tour. Be there Friday. All right, so let's continue now with our first slide. There we go, a responsive reading, and then the four of you guys can come up and line. Where the world is dark with illness, let us spark the light of healing. Where the world is bleak with suffering, let us kindle the light of caring. Where the world is dimmed by lies, let us ignite the light of truth. May the honor of lighting this flame inspire us to acts of goodness that illumine all the world. May the mitzvah of lighting Shabbat candles remind us to sanctify life with the power of our light. You guys want to join? Huh?
Baruch haor ba'olam, Baruch haor ba'adam, Baruch haor b'shalom, b'shalom, Baruch haor, Baruch haor, b'shabbat.
May the doors of our community be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May our congregation welcome all who have cares to unburden, gratitude to experience, hopes to nurture. May the doors of our community be narrow enough to shut out pettiness, pride, envy, and enmity. May their threshold be no stumbling block to young or unsure feet. May they be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this congregation be for all who enter the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life.
Tonight, as we welcome Shabbat, we look at this moment in time to once again gain perspective on where we have been and where we are going. On this Shabbat, may we find the space to consider and to challenge. May we find the courage to do what is right. Together, let us find meaning, calm our anxieties, understand our purpose, and appreciate our accomplishments. Let us find the strength to continue working for ourselves and others. Let us share the burdens and blessings of responsibility. Let us locate the will to change the things we can no longer accept. Let us do all of this and more, mindful that we are a community of humanistic Jewish believers, unbroken and unbowed, prepared to face all that life has in store for us. Let us strive to feel these bonds of belief and community when we are together and when we are apart. Let us rejoice in our ties. Let us rejoice in our collective power. Let us rejoice in the gift of Shabbat.
Shalom Aleichem, Ohavei HaShalom, Shomerei Shalom. Shalom Aleichem, Rodefei HaShalom,
Let us endeavor to find still moments, quiet spaces within to refresh ourselves, moments without ceaseless questions or inner debates, when we meditate only on goodness. Let us endeavor to nurture courage, recalling moments of strength. Let us remember days of fortitude and the power that we found. Let us endeavor to turn to light, to feel the warmth of a loving touch, our faces and fingers outstretched, alive, alive to each other.
Lachuna ranana, lachuna ranana, lachuna ranana la Shabbat. Lachuna ranana, lachuna ranana, lachuna ranana la Shabbat. Naria, naria, leyom simchatenu, nikadme bashalom. Naria, naria, leyom simchatenu, bizmirot naria lo. Lachuna ranana, lachuna ranana, lachuna ranana la Shabbat. Lachuna ranana, lachuna ranana, lachuna ranana la Shabbat. Naria, naria, leyom simchatenu, nikadma b'shalom. Naria, naria, layom simchatenu, bizmirot naria lo. Lachuna ranana, lachuna ranana, lachuna ranana la Shabbat. Lachuna ranana, lachuna ranana, lachuna ranana la Shalom.
Neil deGrasse Tyson wrote, "We are all connected to the earth chemically, to the rest of the universe atomically. There are as many atoms in a single molecule of DNA as there are in the stars in the typical galaxy. We are, each of us, a little universe." Carl Sagan put it this way, "The cosmos is within us. We are made of star stuff. We are a way for the cosmos to know itself."
Ori, ori, Evo tikvati, tikvati bi, Evo chochi. My strength is in me, and in you, and in you.
The transforming power of love, the redeeming power of compassion, the healing power of forgiveness. These endure in every age. The joy which comes from sharing, the strength which comes from striving, the nourishment which comes from nature, These endure in every age. The sanctity of life, the value of truth, the primacy of justice, these endure in every age. Amidst never-ending change, may we have the wisdom to know and to cherish those teachings which will endure for all time.
נפתח לנו שערי צדק, חן וחסד ורחמים. נפתח לנו שערי צדק, חן וחסד ורחמים. זה ישר לשלום, נפתח לנו בניו ובם. זה ישר לשלום, נפתח לנו בניו ובם. נפתח לנו שערי צדק, חן וחסד ורחמים. נפתח לנו שערי צדק, חן וחסד ורחמים.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
When justice burns within us like a flaming fire, when love evokes willing sacrifice from us, when to the last full measure of selfless devotion, we demonstrate our belief in the ultimate triumph of truth and righteousness, then goodness encompasses our lives and we can begin to change the world.
Amar Rabbi Akiva, Amar Rabbi Akiva, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, ze klal gadol gadol b'Torah. Amar Rabbi Akiva, Amar Rabbi Akiva, Amar Rabbi Akiva, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, ze klal gadol gadol b'Torah. Amar Rabbi Akiva.
Tonight, let us proclaim our fervent desire that those with the power to act do so with wisdom and discernment, that those who face danger find courage and hope, that we who long for peace will someday build for ourselves a world without war, where all will embrace each other in love and acceptance. May we at last fulfill the vision of the Israelite prophet, beating our swords into plowshares, our spears into pruning hooks. As together we declare, not by might nor by power, but by the Spirit of our shared humanity, shall we finally live in peace.
We'll be singing the Debbie Friedman version of Naseh Shalom tonight. Naseh Shalom Ba'olam, Naseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al kol ha'olam ve'imru Shalom. Naseh Shalom Ba'olam, Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'akol, Ve'akol ha'olam ve'imru Shalom, Shalom. Naseh Shalom Ba'olam, Naseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al kol ha'olam ve'imru Shalom. Naseh Shalom Ba'olam, Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al kol, Ve'al kol ha'olam ve'imru Shalom, Shalom.
That was great. In this community where we find strength and common purpose, we turn our minds and hearts toward all those who need our love and support, those who are ill, those who suffer pain of the body or spirit, those who are lonely, those who have been wronged. Tonight, our well wishes are extended to these members of our community and to their loved ones, to Nitzan Ben-Gal, Rabbi Peter Schweitzer, Jim Walker, Kate Benamy, and Judy Freund. And as usual, if there's someone who you're thinking about tonight whose name you'd like to share, we'll start over on this side. Anybody? No? Anybody on this side?
Jennifer Justice.
Did we miss any? We'll go ahead.
Jeffrey, Nancy Owens, and
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. May all who suffer know that they are not alone, that we are there. May they be healed quickly. May they experience a complete recovery, a refuah shlema, the renewal of their bodies and the renewal of their spirits. In darker times in Jewish history, there came a moment such as this one, this very moment in Jewish services, when prayers were offered for those who were held hostage. Sadly, we once again find ourselves in such a reality. So let us now, in the spirit of our ancestors who lived through those terrible days, offer these fervent hopes. And we say this with the realization and with the joy that two people were released today. Yehudit and Natalie Ra'anan from Chicago, from Evanston. May all those taken captive find the courage to carry on. May those who love them not despair of their return. May they soon emerge from their confinement, whole in body and in spirit, to know once again the embrace of loved ones. And this we will say until they are all free.
Om HaKoach betocheinu, Mekorot HaBracha be'evrotenu. May the source of strength that dwells so deep within us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Shalom. Hakom HaKoach betocheinu, Mekorot HaBracha be'evrotenu. May those in need of healing know refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of of spirit, and let us say, Shalom.
May I just take a second to profoundly thank our music director. He's amazing.
And if you want more, next Friday night.
We'll be
or
here.
Sunday night, we'll do it then.
We will be here. Sorry. We are but sojourners in existence. Great and small, celestial bodies and humans are born, live, and die. The universal decree that every journey in existence must end cannot be stayed. May our earthly sojourn bring us the wisdom to accept this common destiny with tranquility and peace. Thus we will find in the recesses of our being strength and consolation when the pilgrimage of a dear one is ended and a link is broken in the chain of love and friendship that binds us together. Every being walks in the valley of the shadow of death. Yet even on the days of darkness, we can find the path that leads us back to life.
Our thoughts turn to those who are no longer with us, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every people and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We recall now our loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. Tonight we observe the yahrzeits of Alba Bagley, Leonard Fox, Samuel Glass, Kenneth Mitchell Jacoby, Carolyn Liederman, Ben Matthews, Stuart Rice, Abe Rosenshine, Faye Weiss-Rubin, Alfred Jack Sellen, Ann Surratt, Harry Surratt, Jeff Spillman, and Edward Stowicki. And of course, our hearts are joined to the over 1,400 victims of the horrible slaughter and terror in Israel. If there's someone whom you're thinking about, whom you're holding in your heart tonight, please feel free to share their names as we go across the room. Anybody on this side? Anybody over here? Okay. Did we miss anybody at all? We say, Yehi zichram livracha. May memories of them provide blessing. For this is all we have when they're gone, is memories. And we hope that they will be blessed. If you can do so comfortably, I invite you to please rise for our humanistic interpretation of Kaddish. Together, Nit Gadal V'nit Kadash Beruach Ha'adam. Let us dignify and ennoble all people in the spirit of our shared humanity. Let us acclaim the preciousness of life. Let us show gratitude for life by approaching it with reverence. Let us embrace the whole world, even as we wrestle with its parts. Let us each in our own way take up our share in serving the world and seeking truth. May our commitment to life help us to strengthen healing of spirit and peace of mind. May justice and peace permeate and comfort the house of Israel and all those who dwell on earth. And let us say, Ken Yehi, may it be so. Please be seated. So I'm very, very grateful tonight. That's the word I want to use. Grateful tonight that it happens to be the evening that Dr. Bruce Hillenberg, our wonderful member, fellow member, also chair of our program committee, that he had asked to do this, I think, incredibly important and very practical program where we're going to have a few just of our members talk, as guided by him, about the things that they find in humanistic Judaism useful, important in their personal lives, in their day-to-day lives. And then we'll all get a chance to participate. That's why the extra microphone is there. Sorry, I'm pointing out in general, and You think I'm pointing to something else, but there it is. So anybody who wants to participate, and Bruce will guide us through that. This is a time I think that we need our principles. We need to hold on to them. I will tell you that we think that it's easy to be humanists in some way because we've let go of the supernatural, right? But in some ways that's easier, because to hold on to a fantasy can make things easier. And when we deal with the kinds of difficult times that we are in now, and we have to show our faith in humanity, that's work. But I think the work is worth it. And I think that Bruce and our friends from the community, I'm going to let him introduce them, even though I think most of you know them. I think they and we will remind each other of that. Bruce.
You have the slides, Arthur? Thank you. So I'll give you a little introduction, and then I'll have the panel members introduce themselves, and we'll dive into this. I developed an interest in humanistic values during university study in the 1960s. My major was humanistic psychology. Pro-social values such as facing the facts of reality, authenticity, self-actualization, peace and social activism, gratitude, empathy, and humility inspired me. I understood that there is no higher power to rescue us. Everyone must choose to create their own purpose and meaning. Each person is needed to create a better world. Each person needs the grit to stay on this path. I understood that a variety of forces are present to lead individuals away from this path. Courage sustains humanistic values. I have worked to translate these values into my daily life. 3 years ago, my wife Cindy and I found our way to the Congregation for Humanistic Judaism. We were looking for a Jewish community who shared similar values. On my first visit to the congregation, out in the main area, I saw a poster listing 10 commitments of humanism as described by the American Humanist Association. I was excited. The commitments offered a compass to help guide my desire to continue to actualize my identity and action as a humanistic Jew. As a psychotherapist, I have always been interested in how individuals translate wisdom and ethics into their daily life. I have watched up close as individuals have strengthened their intention and action to experience effectiveness, wellness, and meaning in their daily life. Recently, I started thinking about how members of our congregation apply the 10 commitments in their daily life. I thought this would provide an important discussion for one of our Friday night services. I asked Rabbi Falick if I could assemble a panel to discuss their effort to translate the commitments into their daily life. He said yes, and that's why we are here tonight. I will provide a quick definition of humanism, review the 10 commitments, and then ask our panel members a few questions to guide them as they provide a personal view of translating these commitments into daily life. We hope you will find this discussion meaningful and an inspiration for the actualization of our humanistic commitments. I hope this discussion will provide a small slice of hope in the face of scary and horrific world events. And just to get started, if you could turn to the next slide, I'd like to go and have our panel members, Olga and Mary and Max and Saul, introduce themselves very briefly, and then I will continue. So Olga, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Hi, my name's Olga.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to talk into the mic. Okay. That helps. So my name's Olga. My husband Jason and I recently have become more active in the congregation as our kids have been involved in the Spinoza program. So I'm excited to participate in this panel tonight.
Thank you. Mary.
My name's Mary Monahan. I'm a psychologist. I've been a member of the temple for about 3.5 years, but I've been coming a little bit longer than that.
My name is Max. I was born in this temple. Not actually, but... and I am currently on the board, specializing in the social justice. Even closer. I'm gonna put my back out. I'm on the social justice board. Very excited to be here.
Good. Sal?
Great job. Helen and I have been temple members since the early 70s, and we're very grateful to be a part of this. I'm a retired psychiatrist, and going to be talking today about some examples in my professional and personal life and the lives of my friends that follow humanistic behavior and values.
Okay, and if we can turn to the next slide. And for those maybe out on the Ethernet or the cloud who are not familiar with humanism, I thought I would come up with just a practical definition out of the Oxford Dictionary for humanism. But humanism is an outlook or system of thought attaching prime importance to human rather than divine or supernatural matters. Humanist beliefs stress the potential value and goodness of human beings, emphasize common human needs, and seek solely rational ways of solving problems. Whereas existentialists tend to believe that there is no inherent goodness, that life just exists, humanists differ in the sense of believing that there is an innate goodness, but a variety of forces interfere with that in each individual's trajectory through life. Next slide. For those of you who may have seen this, it's a poster that's sitting out in the foyer area, and this is from the American Humanist Society, and this is what really excited me. So I wanted to just go through and read this really quickly, and then we're going to open it up to the panel for quick discussion. So, and let's start with humility on the bottom. Humility is, as it says, I'll be aware of my strengths and weaknesses and appreciate the strengths and weaknesses of others. And I believe this is the core commitment which provides the direction to all other commitments. It's important to find the middle path of humility, which allows for appropriate humbleness, listening, curiosity, and ethical assertiveness. Next is altruism. I will help others in need without hoping for reward. You can see that humility piece in there. This is a selfless concern for the welfare of others, helping and giving with humility. Service and participation, as I'm winding around. I will help my community in ways that let me get to know the people I am helping. That sense of connection, that sense of involvement, that there's a relational aspect to empowering those who are in need. Peace and social justice. I will help solve problems and handle disagreements in ways that are fair for everyone. And this starts first with our relationships with others, expands to the community and the world at large. This affirms human rights and personal autonomy. Okay. Ethical development. I will always focus on becoming a better person. Do no harm, work for the benefit of others, keep one's word, be trustworthy. Critical thinking. I will practice good judgment by asking questions and thinking for myself. Being open-minded, multicultural sensitivity, embrace science. Empathy. I will consider other people's thoughts, feelings, and experiences. I will try to understand the perspective of others, especially those I am troubled with. Responsibility. I will be a good person, even when no one is looking, and own the consequences of my actions. Global awareness. I will be a good neighbor to the people who share the earth with me and help make the world a better place for everyone. embracing diversity with humility. We're all just a speck of sand on a humongous beach. We're just a speck, no better than the next speck. Even though our world history is battles between specks, but we're just the same old specks, each one of us. And environmentalism. I will take care of the earth and the life on it. And small steps every day go a long way. So again, these are the 10 commitments of humanism, and I find, for me, this is a really great moral and values compass. And again, what I was most interested in assembling the panel is a little bit about how they translate this into their daily life through practice and commitment. So what I did is I asked each panel member that they would like to talk about and talk a little bit about how it's relevant and important to them as a humanist. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask some general questions to start with. I've asked each panel member to pick one of their commitments, share a little bit about it, and then hopefully we'll have time to go through it again, pick up their second commitment, keeping it very personal. I've asked people to be brief but very personal, and then we can open it up for, we'd be interested in what this triggers and stimulates for you in terms of your own commitments, and open it up for questions. If we could turn to the next page. Okay, so generally these are just background questions, which is how have you translated the commitments you picked to speak about in your daily life? That's what we're interested in, daily life. And what impact has this journey to apply these commitments had on your sense of purpose and meaning, as well as your personal wellness? And lastly, why are the commitments that you picked central to your experience and identity as a humanistic Jew? So what I thought for the first round, we'll start with Olga, and we'll just go from one person to the next, and they'll share with you the commitment they picked and kind of share with you a little bit about how they've tried to instill that in their daily life. And you want to pull the microphone over?
The microphone to stand is about the easiest way to do it.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks, Bruce. I had a tough time looking at this list because they're all, highly relevant and things that I think certainly I strive to apply in my daily life. But the commitment that I'm going to talk about is environmentalism. And that's something that I think, as we look at all the kind of depressing things in the world about the environment, the wildfires, all the smoke that we had in the air this summer, it can be easy to feel kind of hopeless about it. And I guess my way of battling that has been to do what I can in my daily life to better the environment and, hopefully in some ways. And so that might include things that we're kind of trying to do in our own yard. So we're slowly transitioning from using grass in our lawn to clover, probably driving our neighbors a little crazy, but no longer using, pesticides and fertilizers and, chemicals in the lawn. Recycling, although that doesn't, usually, that may not go too far, but making an effort to recycle, but also really being thoughtful about things that we purchase. Are these things necessary? Do we need to bring things into our home? So, just kind of focusing on more reducing consumption, and trying to impart those lessons to our kids as well, because I think these are lessons that hopefully will carry them, further into the future as they have to think about inheriting the earth that we live on. So these are sometimes the thing that I struggle with, I guess, is that it can feel kind of hopeless. Every time you read those articles about how all the things we throw into the recycling really just end up in a landfill, I'm not sure how much that's doing, but at the same time, I think it's important for all of us to do what we can. So, so that's one way that it's been a struggle, but also something that is a way of feeling better. And so when I think about wellness, not only is it a way of kind of feeling better about my role in the environment, but also I really enjoy being outside. So this has been a good way of being out there, gardening. I have learned a lot about native plants and supporting the local pollinators. So you can come talk to me about that if you really want to know about bees. So that's been really enjoyable. I feel like if I'm feeling stressed, just getting outside and kind of digging in the dirt and trying to do those things has helped me feel better. And I think it is something that all of us can take something from, is learning from the environment, learning from the plants and animals around us. We're not the only beings on this earth, and I think we can all stand to think about sharing. So that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you. And before we move on to Mary, Arthur, would you just turn the slide back to the 10 commitments? I thought it'd be good. Great. Okay, Mary.
So I'm going to talk about responsibility. So for me, responsibility is the constructive alternative to blame. So no matter what's going on or who did what, it's my task to ask myself, what can I do in the situation that can be constructive and hopefully effective? And this is easy to do when I'm taking responsibility for something that's positive, but it's hard to do when I'm taking responsibility for harm that I've done or mistakes that I've made. And we all know that it's not easy to admit that you've been wrong or that you've hurt somebody. Regarding purpose and meaning in life, I think that relationships are one of the most important things in life, and relationships can go more smoothly and be more rewarding if there's constantly a sense of responsibility rather than blame in the relationship. And regarding personal wellness, I feel that it's easier to manage stress and to handle conflicts if you're constantly owning up to your own mistakes and trying to stay constructive. And personal life just feels less toxic if you're trying to live this way. And I think that this is important as humanists, because if this is the only life we have, the only planet we have, there's no God in the sky who's giving out cosmic justice and repairing everything for us. That means that we have to be responsible right now, and it's not something that can be done later in an afterlife.
Okay, Mary. Thank you. Max?
Expanding on that, the value I selected was social justice. In my professional life, I am a case manager, equivalent to a social worker, working with a program with the city of Detroit providing funding for people facing homelessness. And to me, being a humanist means searching for actionable, concrete solutions to the ills that face this planet. When we discuss sanctifying the dignity of life and the preciousness of all living things, we need to ensure that those living things have security, have food, shelter, and laws protecting their rights. As a social justice warrior, for some of you who may have heard the term online, I instill these values as I approach my case management.
Thank you. Great. Saul?
Good evening. I really believe that this circle is a circle, and that all these topics come together. You can't have one without the other. And I really appreciate what has already been said about the environment and responsibility and justice. But I have to acknowledge, as the rabbi started, the friendships and the caring and the love we get from lots of you out there all the time. And you know what I'm talking about. But in particular, our good friends who tonight are sponsoring an ONIG in name of our moving. We had to move because of health problems, but we had to give up our interests in the environment in terms of gardening and in terms of responsibility, a lot of the organizations we belong to, and in the social justice, just doing lots of activities. So tonight I'd like to tell you a little bit about my philosophy, and Helen's too. I think a lot of this that we're talking about, as we noted even in our service today, is between ourselves. First, we have to work on ourselves, or locally to our local organizations. And as those things are working out, I'm going to tell you that I miss my Arabic neighbors. We've had Arabic people on our Dakota Circle on Wing Lake, where we all did all the above. We took care of our lake, we were responsible, took care of each other, we did activities together, we belonged to peace groups together and political organizations together. They come from Lebanon, from Syria, from Palestine, from all kinds of patients. They were great. And I was on the board of our community, and I can tell you that these people did it from the heart. They're also some of the biggest supporters, both financially and personally, in all of our cultural organizations that I love, Music Hall, Detroit Symphony, on and on and on. So a little later I might talk a little bit about that. And the second thing I'm going to do is talk about some of my personal experiences in the fields of empathy, humility, altruism, because you may not know this, but I worked in mental health hospitals, and I worked in the U.S. Army and a lot of other, what I would call bigger global national organizations, where I didn't really know I was practicing humanism, but I was. Thank you.
Okay, great. So I think we're okay with time if we go through everybody to pick up the second commitment that you wanted to talk about, and then we can open it up to panel. To questions or personal responses. So Olga, you want to start again?
Alrighty, so the second commitment that I was going to bring up today was critical thinking. I guess being raised in a very secular home of people from the former Soviet Union, there was a lot of kind of encouragement to always think critically for yourself, and I guess not, trust what you're hearing on the news necessarily. So that was something I was raised with, and I guess that's kind of a part of my identity. And I think it's just something that's important to remember, that, to check your sources, and there's a lot of information out there. So that's something that in the modern world I think is it's kind of good to be mindful of. I guess I don't know that I have as much to say about that, but I do think it's an important thing for all of us to really think about where the information is coming from that we see, and if it feels too good to be true, it probably is. So.
So I was going to talk about empathy. So to me, empathy means trying to see someone else's perspective. Although there are bad apples in the world, I believe that most people are trying the best that they can. So I frequently remind myself that the world doesn't revolve around me, and that it's not realistic for me to expect that everybody will do what I would prefer all the time. So I'm naturally a calm person, so that part of it is easy, but what's difficult is that it's hard to be empathic with people who seem to be bent on hurting other people. How does this apply to the sense of purpose or meaning in life? Well, I like to treat other people I try to treat other people as I would like to be treated. And I know that this doesn't mean that everybody will do it back, but in general, I believe that you reap what you sow. So to me, life is more meaningful if I'm able to get along well with others, if I have good relationships in my life, if I feel that other people believe and trust that I have integrity. I think that's important. As far as personal wellness, I think it's easier to stay calm or to manage stress if you're approaching other people with empathy. Little things don't bother you as much if you're always reminding yourself that other people are doing their best. And as far as importance for humanism, Oh, again, like I said with responsibility, if there's no God in the sky who's helping out believers and righting the wrongs in the world, then it's our own task to try to understand what other people are going through and to care about their experience. So basically, no one else is going to do anything for us, and we have to do it ourselves.
Max.
I also picked empathy. We didn't coordinate this beforehand. But I learned something just before we started today's service, and I learned that the temple receives hate mail. And apparently quite a fair bit. I was unaware that many people thought about us this much, let alone thought about us in such ways that it would motivate them to write a letter. And I was thinking of that especially in terms of empathy, which is where empathy is most important is empathy for those that may not, in such a word, deserve it. For these people that genuinely think that we are going to suffer eternal torment in the fiery pits of hell for our belief system, that they actually are in dire need of kindness and community. That doesn't absolve them of the responsibility of writing weird, threatening letters to us and wasting the postman's precious time, but to extend a hand to someone that will possibly never extend it back, but simply because that is the right thing to do. And as humanists, we are called to do the right thing, is the embodiment of empathy to me.
Thank you. Sal?
I didn't know that either. Look, one of the issues in my professional life is being a psychiatrist and helping to understand the thoughts, feelings, and concerns of people who may not like to go to a psychiatrist or follow my treatment recommendations. Oftentimes, to keep people out of hospitals and keep them functioning, you have to prescribe and they have to take psychotropic medication, which is becoming more and more efficient and effective, but still has some side effects which are often disabling. The idea of empathy is to be sensitive to those problems and understand people don't like to do everything they're told. There's a real power difference between a physician and a patient of all physicians, not just psychiatrists. Oftentimes it's economic, namely, you know, you have a wealthy physician and a patient who can't pay his or her bill, and the issues go on there. But I thought the best takeaway I give this group is my experience in the military, which was almost 45 years ago, where, you know, when doctors are drafted, they have to get at least some pay, and so we're given a rank, and I became a major because I had spent 4 years in medical school and 4 in graduate school after that. And I was very interested and sensitive in terms of how upsetting it was for enlisted men and women, young people with a lower rank, to come to a guy like me in full dress uniform with badges and insignias and all that, and tell me their tales of woe, their marital or personal problems or whatever. And part of being a humanist is to accept these people, help them to understand what strengths they have and help them work through that. Often when you know, they're facing someone who they can never really argue with in any way because they're afraid that I'll retaliate in some bureaucratic way, which I never did. But I did do some of the things in private practice which upset people, like when a judge would order someone they must take medication to avoid jail, and I participated in that in terms of what I thought was helping them to keep out of jail and to function. Usually that worked, sometimes it didn't. I also have to take a moment to tell you how happy and honored I am to know all the people in this room that have contributed to this kind of a program with all the volunteer time you give and money you give and all that. that we all do because we just know it's the right thing to do. And we keep doing it to support this, particularly all the presidents of the temple who are in this room now, many of whom are my personal friends, and have given years of time. My son-in-law and daughter, who are involved in supporting fundraising for political groups. They support an African orphanage. They support LGBTQ movements. Amy gives tons of hours in counseling to kids for no charge as helping. We have another daughter, Rebecca, who belongs to another temple, but comes here often, fairly often, who every Saturday goes to Planned Parenthood, which the only organization nearby is at the airport. So she drives from the house there to provide safety for patients so they can get out of their car and walk to the place. She's not a medical person, amid the harassment of all kinds of what I call evil people. And somehow, I include this in service and action and participation, altruism, and all the other good things. I could give you, I wrote it down, actually a list of all the things I've done that I think I've done in my life that would apply to this. Some have been quite successful, like I was vice president of my senior high school class. Most have not been so successful, no matter how much you try. Helen and I met in a summer camp where we sang our hearts out with guitars and whatever for peace. You know, if I had a hammer and all that kind of stuff. We're still singing those songs, and we're not getting very far. I want to talk a little bit about organizations that I think on a local level have helped, and then I'll pass it on to everybody else. In our house that we lived in for 30 years, which some of you have seen, we had all kinds of service groups that would help each other, cleaning up the lake, monitoring the streets, monitoring behavior, helping people who are sick, on and on. And it can go on forever, taking care of people. It's got to be in this circle somehow. And the other thing I'm realizing now is we moved to a community we knew very little about, except some of the people in our temple belonged there. Jim Jacobs, well, there's just a number of them. And anyhow, they've been doing what I'm going to tell you now. There's 1,400 people living in Fox Run. There's 1,000 units. You think 1,000 places. And everything is run by volunteers. I mean, not the maintenance part, but the community part. If you want to have a book reading program or a class on swimming or a class on politics or whatever, somebody will come up with a MA or a PhD. So I did that when I was younger, and I'm going to run this program. I think that's a good example of service to the community, humanism, caring about other people, participating, and being responsible. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Just a real quick summary, and then we can maybe have 5-10 minutes just to open it up. You know, one of the things that I find in my own life, as well as the life of those that I work with, that those individuals that take time out every day to huddle with their game plan to improve the quality of their life, build such a powerful intention that they're able to realize their commitments and they're able to sustain it. So people that seem to learn the art of huddling with themselves to review their commitments, to identify ways of practicing and unfolding their goals is really important. And what's interesting, I've noticed that too, I've been working on this for a week to prepare it. I've been looking at this wheel every day and thinking about it and reflecting on it. And it's been very interesting because it's really not only identified where I've been able to strengthen my engagement, but it's also identified areas where I have more work to do. And because I, like many people, can get distracted from the commitments. So I think that's what I found is that's a very important thing with these commitments, is to keep it present on a daily basis. And that's one of the reasons why I've just kind of fallen in love with this congregation, because it's not what a person says, it's what a person does. And I've never seen such a group of people whose commitment is so actualized and real, and you can just feel it and take the pulse of it. And that's why it's been a great experience. So we have maybe like 5 minutes, 10 minutes left, and then we have a microphone over here. If anyone would like to just come up and ask a question, or maybe just share a brief comment. But again, remember, we just have about 10 minutes, so try to keep your comments, if you have some, brief. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joel Brown.
Joel.
For me, part of humanism that's very important is to fill your life with some purpose, some passion. And I've being retired the last few years, I decided that was something important to me in terms of humanism was the survival of the species and climate change and carbon emissions, et cetera. So I got into a study program with Al Gore and his Climate Reality Project. I became certified to be a teacher and speaker on the subject. And I've done some podcasts and doing some speaking. And it's been tremendously important to me. It's been a great pleasure. Frustrating, trying to move people to really get on with this, because as I say, we all have to deal with individual passing and death. But this generation, this youngest generation, and their parents are going to be faced with the real issue of the extinction of the species. Not yet, but it's coming. And we're way behind the curve on resolving the problem. So it's part of my humanistic values to be active in this and trying to do some good.
Thank you, Joel. Marty?
So my name is Marty Bernstein. My wife Barbara and I have been members of the Birmingham Temple since 1985. And what I would like to share is this, that being a humanistic Jew means learning to be comfortable with being in the minority, being different, having the courage to stand up and say what you believe. I'm often in a lot of social circles with Jews who are Reform, conservative, Orthodox. You don't wear a yarmulke, you don't wear a tallis, you don't say the Shema, you don't read the Torah, you don't do this, you don't believe in God. So I think it's very important for me as a humanistic Jew not to respond in anger, not to go on the offense, if you will, on the offensive, but to have the courage to say in very plain English what we do believe, what we do stand for, in a very respectful, forceful, simple way, without criticizing what they believe, but also standing up for what we believe. Because for many people, for most Jews, they have no clue what we stand for and what we believe. We are the no's. Well, you don't do this, and you don't do that, and you don't do this. So how can you be Jewish? But we do a lot of positive things, and we have our own philosophy and our own way of looking at the world from a humanistic standpoint and for others. So to me, part of these commitments is having the courage, because I'm in the minority, I'm different, to be able to say in front of my friends who belong to Temple Israel or other places, hey, look, you can believe what you would like, but there's another way of looking at this, without being critical, without going on the attack. And that sometimes is very difficult, because sometimes you feel like you are being personally attacked. So
So that for me would be the best integration of chutzpah and humility.
I got it.
Tom Fleischer. I want to talk about the elephant in the room, and this is the Hamas. Max mentioned empathy before. These are humans. They're doing atrocious things, but as a humanist, how do I, see, I'm caught. How do I feel about them? They're humans, they're not like me, but we have these humanistic values. What do we feel about them? How do we feel about that? Of course they're horrible, they're doing horrible things. Any answers there for me to, Max, do you have anything about empathy?
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I mean, for me as I don't know if there's, well, it'll be interesting what Max says, but for me as a humanist, one of the things we talked about is a willingness to understand things, to understand people's and culture's backstory. It doesn't mean that we may not have to strike out at them, but making as much of an effort to understand the backstory is helpful.
That's empathy.
That's empathy, but it's also a global awareness that we all share this earth, and some people's path, for a variety of reasons, have turned in a devilish direction based on our perspective. And I guess all I'm saying is bring as much empathy to the situation, but yet we are realists as humanists, and if we have to protect our existence, we will.
I think kind of what you're getting at is empathy is, you're sitting down. Empathy is not endorsement. You can understand that someone is doing something that is harmful and wrong, but still understand that the solution is not to be even more aggressive and violent and wrong.
Right. To be truly empathic, you have to be able to set boundaries as well. To be able to integrate boundary setting with empathy. That way, you're kind of in the middle path. You know, whether it's Musar middle path, whether it's Buddhist middle path, but finding the middle way, moderation is the challenge of balancing extremes. I think we do have to. One more person. Oh, one more person. Okay, and then we'll bring it to a quick close.
Michael Jarandese, I don't know. I don't think I'm a good enough humanist to have compassion for these Hamas soldiers. I can have compassion for their children. I have tremendous compassion for the Palestinian people. And it's been a nightmare, a total nightmare, what happened in Israel and with the hostages. It's just been a nightmare for me and for so many other people. I think that on another note, in terms of humanism, I think that I've always made it a point of trying to help elderly people. Now I'm reaching that stage of life, but I don't need help yet. But, you know, helping neighbors like in their 80s and maybe even late 70s. And I think that helping people it's very rewarding to me. It makes me feel good. If I have problems, if I'm feeling anxious or worried about something and I go out and I do something nice for an elderly neighbor, I help them out. And usually it's on a pretty consistent basis. Maybe nothing more than like giving them their mail each day, taking out their garbage, calling them every time I go to the supermarket, or stopping by and watching a TV show that I'd rather not see. But, you know, they enjoy the company, and so do I. And so I think giving is
is very beneficial to the giver, not just to the person that receives those benefits.
Thank you. Sure. So just a quick final comment, and I want to thank the panel very much. What I would summarize is that being a humanist provides meaning, purpose, focus, and an ability to accept reality as it is, to radically accept reality is. But also being humanistic is painful because the forces of anti-humanism have always been here and will always be there. That is one of the risks as we sense the potentiality of humankind and we witness its drift in horrible directions. It is very painful to be a humanist, but it's the most meaningful path.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For the piano. You guys can make your way to your seats. I'll just make a couple of comments. First of all, I think it's extraordinarily important to do this. You may all not realize, some of you do, that I work with every one of our B'nai Mitzvah putting together their presentation. Not that, but the wheel. The 10 Commitments is what we start with. We want the children to understand the things that we as humanists aspire to. We're not the only ones who aspire to these values, of course. These are what we consider to be important universal values. And you can't be a bad humanist, Michael. It's not possible if you're striving to be a good human. What it means, though, for us to be humanists, the part that's painful and the part that's difficult, and some of you noticed this last week when I got to the Kaddish and we had that mournful service, and I was reading something about, ennobling all people and the image of our humanity and so forth. I kind of skipped a line just accidentally because I got stuck on one that seemed to suggest that, there's goodness in everyone. There's not goodness in everyone. And having faith in people is hard. I've brought very religious people into this room, and they've seen the Adam that's behind our screen here that says humanity on it. And they said, well, that's the problem with you people. You put all your faith in humanity, and humanity's always going to let you down. And I said, but humanity is real. And humanity is what we have to struggle with. We have to struggle with our own humanity, and we have to struggle with the humanity of other people as well. That's where we live. We live among humans. I say to these people, I understand what you believe about God. You believe God is the projection of all goodness or the emanator of all goodness. But that's very convenient for you because that's your God today. That wasn't necessarily the God of every age, and it's not everybody's God. Many people's gods are very vindictive and horrible, and they obey those gods, or they look to those gods to give them the values of vindictiveness and hatefulness and even terror and murder. By being able to make their gods so malleable, the best of them, they always have something to look to that says, oh, we can transcend all this. Humanists realize we cannot transcend this. We are not going to create a better world unless we do it. And we're not going to do it by making up a pretend source of good and holding ourselves to comparisons with it. Because we are not gods. We don't have superpowers. We are just people. And so if you're struggling with the hate that you might feel right now over what was done, that's because you're people. If you're struggling with the fact that the environment will not be fixed in our generation, it's because we're people. These values are simply ways for us to talk about what we aspire to be, the best moments of our lives. I'm very grateful to you, Bruce, for not just tonight, but for being a force for articulating these kinds of things in our congregation. And I'm really grateful to the panel. I know each of you. Some of you I've known a little bit longer than others. You're extraordinary. But I think part of your extraordinariness is also that you picked here to be with other extraordinary people, to struggle through these issues of our humanity, and to say that, yes, we have faith in people, collectively, because we can learn from the best of what we have to offer. And hopefully, time will come that we will be able to let go of the evil. So I'm going to end with that. That was my little struggle that I've been going through this week. And here's a a sort of a prayer. It's not really a prayer the way we say it, but that Debbie Friedman also wrote about the kinds of things that we hope will bless us as we go through our lives.
May we know peace as we go on our way. May we be guided by love. May we be blessed with health and joy. May this be our blessing. Shalom. 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 May this be our blessing. Shalom. 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 May this be our blessing. Shalom. May we be sheltered by the wings of peace. May we abide in safety and in love. May grace and compassion find their way to everyone. May this be our blessing. Shalom. 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 May this be our blessing. Shalom. 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 May this be our blessing. Shalom.
Once again, thank you to Joseph. Thank you to David, who does our streaming, to Arthur for the slides, to Bruce, to all of you. Shabbat Shalom. And thank you to those who sponsored the Oneg. Join us in our family room.